Hello, welcome back. So now in next session, we're going to talk about how do we set about HTML background images. Now, previously we talked about images and how we can use the image tag within our HTML to set up the image. This time we're going to say how we set background images, meaning that we set an image as a background of your web page. Okay, so the background image can be specified for almost any HTML element. The key thing is to remember that. So any HTML element can have a background tag. So you can have a paragraph that has a background image, just like a background color. Similarly, you can have a heading or div tags or any tags that you use within your HTML can have a background image. How do we set that up? Basically, we use CSS. Primarily, we use CSS to do that. Okay, so in this case, if I click on the try it yourself code, let me close all the previous sessions. Okay, so now you can see this that we have a text here available. This is a paragraph text and it has a background image. How it has been set up is that we use a heading. We have a paragraph. So these are two as a normal appear text, nothing special about them. However, this paragraph has an attribute called style. Again, CSS inline style. So we are using an inline CSS to tell our paragraph and tell our browsers that this paragraph has a specific background image. Previously, we used an attribute CSS property called background color. Okay, if you use background color, this will set a background color of your attribute. So for example, if you come on this one, in this paragraph, I can come and I can say, hey, listen, let's have a style, and then let's say is equals to, we can use background color. Okay, and then we can say light blue. Okay, so if I set this as a light blue color, hit run, you see this as a background color light blue. Similarly, there's a property called background image. What this will basically mean that we can set an image as a background, any image that for that matter. The way it works is because image needs a URL src, so it uses a function called URL. This is a CSS function that takes a single argument called your file name. Simple as that. So in when we set an image, mm, just an image, we use src as an input. However, when you want to set a background as an image, then you use the background image attribute within your CSS style, and then you use a URL function and then provide the path to it. So this is the basic way of doing it. So any tag can have this. So instead of this paragraph background, I can set it background image, and then instead of specifying the color name, I will be using the URL. That's how basically so that way any style can be done, any paragraph or any tag can have a background image. We can use an inline CSS, or in this case we are using an internal CSS. How do we know it's an internal CSS? Because we have used a style tag and we specified the paragraph as a selector, bracket start, bracket close, and then we have specified the background image as a CSS property. So this is also liable. This would basically mean that now every single tag within your as CSS will have this background. So if I create another paragraph here, okay, so if we create a paragraph 2 and then we say, hey, this is paragraph 2, and then we go here, and this is paragraph, and if we run it, this paragraph will also have the same background image as well. So every paragraph will now have the exactly same paragraph image. Okay, that's the wonderful thing about it. So we can set background image on a body as well. Now this is very commonly done. Mostly websites nowadays tend to have a very nice, subtle, very light background for your images, for your body. That way this image appears on an entire web page as a background image. This can be an image or a small uh, gradient effect or shading effect or anything of that sort. How do we do that? Simply we specify CSS body bracket start bracket close body background image and then image name. What this will basically do, it will set this body as a CSS style and the image will be set on a body tag. So with this body tag has no CSS associated with it. You can use an inline CSS or internal CSS. The function is the same. So if you use an internal CSS, this now basically means that body bracket start bracket close has an image associated with it. Okay, so this is how we can set background image. Only thing to remember is that we can set a background image using CSS. You can set it on any tag that you want. Okay, as long as you understand how these tags are working, so you can use this background. There is a feature called that if your image is very small, you can use what we call a repeat feature. So by default, if your image is small, the smaller than the element will repeat itself horizontally and vertically until it reaches the end of the element. So if image is small, it will automatically repeat itself. To avoid background images from repeating itself, the background repeat property to no repeat. Again, this means that now we use another property within CSS that will allow us to ensure that the background does not repeat itself. If I remove this, Control X, hit run. By default it's set to repeat. That means every time we use an image, and if it's a smaller image, it will automatically repeat. This is sometimes very useful. As I said, sometimes we use a very small image that has a repeating aspect to it, and we set that as a background. Okay, but sometimes we don't want that repeat feature to happen. So what we do is we use another property. Now remember, this is a different property. Within CSS, semicolon, it ends. This is another property, means can we control the behavior. He said, hey, if there's a background dash repeat, no matter whether this image has been set or not, it will use it as a no repeat feature. That means the background do not repeat the feature and use it here. So this is how we can control how we want our background to appear. Okay, so I hope you understand that. Do try it, to go through it, and then let me know what we need to do. Next, we're going to talk more about how we use a five icon.